America are African American. That makes them the largest race of Muslims in this country.
We're both children of immigrants. My parents are from Bangladesh.
And my parents are from North Africa.
And all the communities I've been to, they've been predominantly immigrant. So when we heard this statistic, it really came as a shock to us.
So we were thinking, and we had three main questions. One, where they at? Two, why aren't we together? And three, what's holding us apart?
We go to Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland. Turns out the answer to the first question was straightforward. Most black Muslims go to inner city mosques. As for why aren't we together and what's holding us apart, turns out that's a little more tricky. And we'd have to go into these communities ourselves to find out the answers.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to Masjid as-Salam.
Life happens, I look outside my window.
And the world I see is not the world that I knew before.
Things ain't what they used to be.
'Cause times they change and people do too.
Open your eyes and you will
For
see.
the better or worse, man, it's up to you.
Things ain't what they used to be.
What does a Muslim look like, man? Muslim can be anything.
You don't know he's Muslim?
Yeah, you don't know he ain't Muslim. You don't know what's in his heart, son.
So first we went to Masjid as-Salam, a mosque in inner city Baltimore. And here we met a few African American Muslims. And one of them, Mike, invited us over to his house to tell us about his story coming to Islam.
Yes, we're here.
Let's do it. My name is Ben Michael Wilder.
Yeah.
Muslim.
Yeah.
3 weeks in. Just trying to find my way, that's all.
Yeah.
There was a Muslim brother that I used to work with by the name of Tyrone Pugh. And every day at work, he used to just recite scriptures from out the Quran. And, you know, I'm 18, young, I don't know nothing about it. And he would just, every day, he would just be at me. And I'm like, man, I mean, what's up, man? You just keep coming at me with this, you know? And he told me, he said, man, it's going to come a time in everybody's life where Allah, the communications of Allah won't come to you, you know? You can either accept it or reject it, you know? And I got stabbed. I got stabbed like about 3 months after the religion was revealed to me back in '99. When I was laying on my sister's floor, bleeding, the punctured lung, and I got asthma. So that pain was horrible, you know. And when I prayed to Allah, you know. I prayed to Allah. God is my witness. I prayed to Allah, and I prayed to Him, don't take me, not today, you know. I felt like I just had so much to live for. And He spared me because I got stabbed like an inch away from my spine, which could have paralyzed me, you know. But through His grace, while I'm still here, you know, Allah knows all things and power over all things, and that's why I'm able to sit here and talk to you today. And I found this land, and I'm finding my way, you know. Now I understand what my true purpose in life. You know, people ask you what's your purpose in life. You know, what would you put here for? And a lot of people feel like, you know, they put here to be successful, to make money, or to raise kids, or do whatever. But our true purpose, what I believe, is to worship God, you know, and nothing else. That's what we was created for, to worship Him and Him alone. So,
That's one of the great things I think. I mean, like right here, like, you know, if it hadn't been for Islam, me and you probably wouldn't have
exactly
this conversation right now. We wouldn't know what to talk. We would never come up to each other, talk to each other.
And that's the sad thing about life. Because life is so short. And so many people live their life separated, segregated, and they won't allow themselves to open up. Well, it might be fear, whatever the reasons may be, you know. And it's a big world outside of here. Like so many guys, African American men from my city, that's all they know is Baltimore City, their neighborhoods, you know. And it's a big world out here, you know, that we not exploring, you know. And that's one thing I want to explore. I want to travel, you know, and being open-minded and open your heart up will allow you to do those things, you know, and conquer your fears, you know. Because I used to fear a lot, but right now I fear nothing but Allah. Nothing. We should do this again.
You should, definitely.
I like this.
Yeah. That was very touching.
Yeah, in all honesty, that really moved me. Just sitting with these brothers and hearing their story and how they came to Islam, really, I had to take a step back and think, why am I Muslim?
And one thing that really showed us was that we don't believe in two different Islams. It's not that black Muslims believe in these things and brown Muslims or immigrant Muslims believe in these things. We believe that there is no God except for Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was the last and final messenger of God. And if you believe in these two things and you live your life accordingly, then you believe in the same Islam that we believe in.
So we quickly realized that if there is a divide between the African American Muslims and the immigrant Muslims, it wasn't due to a difference in belief.
Yeah. So I guess the next thing you start wondering is that if it's not because of our beliefs, that still leaves the question open. Why are we together? But more importantly, we think that we're not together because we haven't experienced interactions with black Muslims that much. But is that how everyone else feels? So this is Amr. He's a PhD candidate in physics at Hopkins and an active member at one of the mosques here in Baltimore.
SubhanAllah, just really, really blessed people. And it was sort of an introduction to me that there's a whole nother side to American Islam, as it is practiced here by people who have had some version of Islam with them for 30, 40 years. And it's kind of interesting to me, African American Islam sort of grew at a similar time scale, but completely in parallel and not sort of interacting much with the immigrant community is the sense that I had. And I think those lines exist.
Okay, so we're not alone in thinking that there is a divide between black Muslims and immigrant Muslims.
And really, it's a shame that these communities emerged so long ago and they haven't found ways to collaborate with one another.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Let's find out what they've been doing all this time. So then we went to Masjid as-Safat. This is the first mosque in the state of Maryland and also the first Islamic school in the United States of America, both founded by African American Muslims.
My name is Sister Hafiza Abdul Rahman, and I am a Baltimore native and member of Masjid as-Safat community and one of the founders of the Islamic Community School.
My name is Rayhana Bint Yahya, and I am co-principal here at the Islamic Community School.
It's a little beyond inspiring when I meet the different people because they came into Islam and they basically hit the ground running, which is very different than what we see, happen in the Muslim community today. They came into Islam and said, well, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to start, we have kids, or we're going to have kids, we need a school. We need to have a masjid. We need to take care of the basics.
Parents were teachers, the parents were teachers of the school and the madrasa. My own mother was my teacher in the school, which was a headache for her. She always reminds me, you were a headache, what I mean? And I had this I gotta make dua for myself, make dua for her, inshallah. But yeah, that came about by parents saying that we need to educate our children. And we don't want they didn't want their children in the public school because they understood the public school was in contradiction to what Islam was.
Because they grew up in it.
Right,
they knew
exactly. They knew it was. They were products of it, and they knew what it produced.
We had watched our children come into the world, grow up, and now they needed to be educated. Public school was not an option for us.
But we knew that there was a need, and the great thing about that is that as a community and the sisters, we got together and said, okay, we need to have a school. And the administration at that time was like, well, we can't start a school. We don't have any teachers. We don't know anything to start a school. And we're going to start a school anyway. I guess you might say we were defiant. We told the brothers, we're doing a school anyway, so you can help us or not help us, but we're going to have this school. And literally, that's what we did. And then they came on board.
We said, well, let's start out with a nursery or a preschool. There weren't any videos. There was no internet to go click on and see what to do. So we had to figure it out. We had to go to the library. We had to rent books. Then every year we would just add another grade or two. We got to the point where we needed a high school.
None of us at that time were educators. And pretty much a lot of us didn't even have a degree in anything.
Somebody had to be trained. We were going to do high school. If we were going to take these kids any further than like fourth grade, third or fourth grade, we needed somebody. So we went back to school and taught here, went to school, went to Coppin, right down the street. So we'd get on the bus, we had no cars then. We'd get on the bus, we'd ride down, I'd take a class, and we did that. I did that for 4 years, you know, schooling. But we graduated. We graduated on time, and we were top of our class because we had a focus, we had a goal. Allah was our goal. You know, we wanted to please Him.
So when they're in school or they're studying, the rest of the community, you know, we did the cooking, we did, you know, babysitting, and anything we needed to do to help facilitate them going to school, because they're going to school for the community.
Without financing, you know, on a volunteer basis, it takes a lot of cooperation, you know, immense amount of cooperation. You know, so a lot of our parents were already in the process of being qualified, or already qualified, or getting qualified.
It opened our mindset to education on a collegiate level. You know, we need to be educated. And from that spawned where it got to the point where everybody was just expected to go to school and get a degree. You would be hard pressed to find any student that has left Islamic community school that has not gone on for some type of higher education. So it set a precedent within the community how important it is for everybody to be educated. Who knew that? Whoever thought that this little group of people would, in essence, create an institution? Yeah, that's a big word, you know, coming from, you know, our background, our humble's background, that, hey, we have institutionalized Islamic education in America. Who knew?
It's proven to be a really work of love, a work of love for Allah, a work of love for the community, a work of love for the children, that you want them to be their very best, the very best that they can.
What they did wasn't easy. They established a whole school, kindergarten to high school, with their own hands. And it makes me think, if African Americans and immigrants, if they actually worked together, what could we have accomplished?
So as it turns out, there actually was a lot of collaboration back in the day.
The immigrant and African American communities, I see more of a demarcation now than back in the, you know, 20, 30, 35 years ago. There was a necessity for everybody to work together. You didn't have any other masjids for people to go to, so everybody went to one masjid, and there was a willingness and I think a genuine respect and an exerted effort for the communities to get to know each other.
At first there was no masjid. Once the masjid was established, they moved the Musalla from Hopkins to Masjid Asafat. And then out of that came Masjid Ar-Rahma. You know, and then also through the Dawah effort that they were doing here in the city, you had Masjid Mu'minun, you know, come about. Then you had Masjid Al-Haq. For me, it's a very proud legacy.
We didn't do a good job as historians for Islam in this area to make sure that our children and our grandchildren, all of them, immigrant and indigenous, know the history and the bonds that were forged so that we could have a Masjid Ar-Rahma, so that you could have all the different communities that now exist in the state of Maryland. You didn't have that, so it had to begin somewhere. So I think that maybe through your documentary and the work that you're doing, that it helps the story to be told that, hey, this is worthy of knowing that there was a foundation laid upon which all the communities grew and survived and are now nourished and flourishing. Had we, I think, we've been forced to stay together, we'd have a better working relationship. And sometimes, you know, it's very rare that I might journey outside of my community now.
It's clear that these two places are very different. You know, you have the black Muslims mostly in the inner cities, and you have the immigrants out in the suburbs. You know, us just being here as long as we have, it's pretty obvious that life isn't the same on the streets as it is out in the suburbs. You know, you face different issues, you face different challenges in life, and I think that really guides a lot of how people practice their Islam, what they do, and more importantly, who they interact with.
The Muslim community is broken up into the different ethnic groups, and we can't really, overlook that element or that situation where, I'm African American, but I'm Muslim, so I'm your brother.
The immigrant masajid, by and large, appear to be healthy financially, and not in the city. And the African American masajid are in the city and are less healthy financially.
From coast to coast, we suffer from the same ailments that everybody else in the ghetto suffers from. Unemployment, lack of education, lack of resources.
One thing I would want to bring back to black community is jobs, because I feel like if you could bring jobs, I know a lot of guys that sell drugs, but they want work. They look for work. They actually want to work.
This might be like a controversial statement, but when people were enslaved, they were given food and shelter and clothing at the level of animals, but they had food. And when a person leaves jail, they don't. I mean, they're completely at the mercy. And the way laws work here for felonies in this country, once you've been convicted of a felony, you can't vote. You can't, you will always have to disclaim it for any application to any university, to any job, any place. You're completely that's it. That's like a wrap for most people. And so this is something I think about a lot. What can I do? I know the immigrant community is doing better, money-wise. Are there small businesses? Are there people that are seeking employment? Are there people that are open to the idea of hiring somebody who's an ex-convict if he has references? There's lots like this. Somebody who's a sincere person. The chaplains from the jails know him personally, and this is the good guy. The parole officer, he got off because of good behavior. And he's been in the community and people can vouch for him. I'm not saying, you do something stupid, but something reasonable, something that, you're taking a measured risk, but it's really a small risk. I mean, because he's been under too much scrutiny, it's better than some random person on the street. Do we have the courage to overcome our prejudice and our biases, and offer somebody like that a job? I think if there are positions that are open, why aren't we taking care of our own communities?
We're not looked at as people that are adding value. That's why the resources don't flow. This is my opinion. Right now, we're looked at as a group of not really being resourceful people, not being valuable. And until we change that perception by empowering ourselves, it's going to be hard for resources to flow.
We need to be more involved and change the conditions of the people around us. It's like, for me, it's our responsibility. And so what we're doing is, in that area of West Baltimore, up in the area of West Baltimore, we're going to bring all kind of resources free of charge into the community. A lot of times people don't have access to that resource, so we're going to bring it to the community with job training, drug rehab, health care, health screening, prostate cancer screening, those kinds of things, bringing that to the community free of charge to the people. Most of the resources that we bring and the service we bring to the community, these are free resources. All we do is make the connection, bring them all together, and then bringing the people in and let them go ahead and mix and mingle with each other and find out what they need to know about rental assistance, about not being evicted from their homes, different things like that, going to rehab, job placement, job training, all those things, bring it to the community. Let's clean up this block. Or let's give some food and give some food to the homeless, or give some clothes to the people. Just something that's going to change the condition of the people. Whatever help that they need, if we can do so, let's help them. And it helps people understand what true Islam is.
This is the definition of activism. If I'm the leader and I'm in the trench with you, then I'm showing you the importance and value of this work. Not just me giving you the order to do this work. And then taking all the credit later on. I did this. This was my effort. And you don't see that level of commitment from leadership these days.
Sometimes you do find committed leaders. Rashid came to the community a few years ago and worked to start an economic development center right next to Masjid Safad.
Tawheed Community Development Association's mission specifically is to provide relief for the poor, the stressed and underprivileged, and create economic development programs in the inner city Muslim communities. We were able to start to rehab the entire building to house an economic development center, which will consist of a youth-run sorbet shop or icy shop, an item that we produce and manufacture. The name of that company is called Frozen Desert Fruit Sorbet. Second floor of the building, we house clothing and shoe manufacturing, from buying the fabric to cutting it, sewing it, embroidering it, screen printing it. We house all of those equipment and mechanisms in-house. So we also teach those skills. For those that are willing to take the time to invest in themselves and learn those skills. That means we empower ourselves here, change this environment, and we work together. And when we do that, the perception changes. So it's not like I'm doing these guys a favor. They're benefiting us. We should be a place of refuge. You know, the masjid opens in the inner city. We have to develop this. You know, but unfortunately, those that have the resources don't focus those resources on the city. They focus them, you know, in the county, etc.
This is a shame, and I think the reason why I really think it's a shame is because I feel, having spent some time here, that there's an entirely different set of issues here, and correspondingly an entirely different set of blessings here. There's some really blessed people in this mission and in this community, and they've got things that I don't have, and that I don't see frequently in immigrant masajid, very rarely, you know, and they're like commonplace here.
Because the reality of it is, you know, scrape our skin off, we all the same. We got the same soul anyway. There's really no difference, you know, between human beings. The conditions make them different, but the reality of it is, we're the same people. Just the fact that my skin is darker than yours and your accent is different. Besides that, Pakistani got on the street is a dope fiend. The boy in the hood is a dope fiend. Pakistani on the street is a Muslim. Got on the street is a Muslim. Except it's deemed the same. So it's so important to create those mediums for people to know each other.
There is a mentality in both parties that we have ourselves, and we'll worry about other people as convenient. If it doesn't work out, then it's fine. Then I'll just go back to my stuff. I got stuff to do too. And then I think that comes from the fact that it's not viewed as one community. It's viewed as that community, that community, that community. It's not viewed as we're all one community. A problem someplace is a problem every place. It has to be addressed, and we all have to work on it until that problem is solved. This is the Prophet ﷺ told us about the Ummah, is that it's jasadun wahid, it's one body. When one part of the jasad feels pain, then the whole body feels pain. You hurt your foot, it's not like, you know, your hand is like, well, I'm good, so whatever, you know, there's this rock on my foot, but whatever, I'm too lazy to lift it, you know. It's not how our body works. But that's how we work now, because we're not one ummah. I mean, the ummah is not one body at all. You know, there's no sense that if one part of the ummah is in pain, that, you know, the rest of the body is. There's no sense of that.
For that bond, for that bridge to be made, that has to come. Not that it can't come from us, the older people, but I think it's more the youth now who are in a better position to make sure that we bridge that gap more.
They basically spent a lot of time laying the groundwork, and so now they've left the responsibility of building the infrastructure, you know, and all of the institutions that are necessary to build an Islamic system. They left that responsibility up to us, and that's kind of where we come in. It serves really as a lesson, you know, for our generation, that it can be done. All we have to do is really endeavor to do the work and let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take care of the rest.
All you gotta do is play your part. I mean, and with that type of confidence is how we have to move. With that type of exuberance, with that type of focus, things will manifest. Our situation will change. Allah will not change the condition of the people So the change was within themselves.
So decide now if what you're doing is the right thing to do or not. If it's the right thing, and you know it's the right thing, then just do it and don't worry. Because that's going to happen. People are going to come and they're going to bug you, and you're going to have trials and you're going to have tribulation. If there's something better for you to do, then do that better thing. Pick your battle. Pick the thing that you think that's the best thing you can do. It's the best way to serve the community. But think holistically. That's my point, is don't pigeonhole yourself that like, oh, the only good way for me to do anything is within the confines of my limited, I'm not going to think outside of this small little bubble that I've encapsulated myself, or this masjid, or this whatever. Think on a big scale. What is the thing I can do that of all of the possible things I could have done, this is the thing that's most pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
In my opinion, it's our obligation to be out there in the community and actively trying to find solutions to solve these issues. And wow, it's really...
Yeah, I think we've heard it from them that if we just put in our effort, I think we can accomplish great things. From the sisters who started the first Islamic school in America, that was just a bunch of sisters coming together and saying, hey, we need a school for our kids, let's make a school. And then you have Rashid, he went out and made Tawheed Community Development. That's great in itself.
Right. And then you have Imam Amin, who actually went out and brought services into the community, so that people can understand and realize that there are resources out there, for them to benefit from. And it's just our like I said before, I feel like it's our obligation, being in the position that we're in, to bring these resources and make people know that they do exist.
Yeah.
And it's really, another thing is just a mentality. I think so. You cannot force someone to go out into the community, and be involved. It has to come within. I think it goes back to purpose. What is my purpose for going out into these communities? In our case as Muslims, it's for the sake of Allah. It's for the sake of God and Him alone. So if we have this mentality, no matter what roadblock we face, we'll hurdle over it because we see the ultimate purpose in sight. I think this is a lesson to not only us, but also all the viewers, that really just find out what you're passionate about, find out what your interests are, and go out into the communities, talk to people, and set up projects, and let's be fixers. Let's find solutions.
You guys didn't think that was the end, did you? That we're going to tell you to do all this and do all that without showing you how it's done?
And really what was most intriguing was the fact that we're full-time college students involved in extracurricular activities, yet we were able to facilitate 5 to 7 projects, just by acting as the middleman, connecting someone who has a service with someone who has a need.
And this is how we did it.
First up, we met Brother Tariq, a computer programmer who teaches free classes at Masjid al-Rahman, a predominantly immigrant masjid.
It costs $3,500 for 4 days, 40 hours. I'm giving it for free. I have something which I know that really will help them.
We brought Tariq to Masjid Safat to start a computer programming class.
This is an obligation. It's not I'm not doing a favor. Actually, it's an obligation. We tend to forget that.
We quickly realized the masjid didn't have enough computers to start the class.
Fortunately, our boss from the Office of Multicultural Affairs was generous enough to donate 9 computers.
Turns out we need to raise money to upgrade the computers. That's when we learned about a fundraiser Masjid Safat used to have called Men Who Can Cook. But the venues were always so expensive that they couldn't raise much money. So we got the Hopkins Muslim Student Association to co-host the event and book a venue on campus for free. The point of the event is for men to cook for the community, so we had to learn how to cook.
Wait, can you make dessert? Alright, so we're attempting to make some chili. We just put some green bell peppers, some onions, to lower the heat.
There's more salt?
Yeah.
Wait
for is good food.
You gotta look the part.
We've had two of our members, Muhammad and Rafi, make a considered effort to go out to the community, find out exactly how a university group can give back, even though we're only here for 4 years, and do something significant.
So I think that's our main takeaway message, is that really talk to people, learn about situations they're in, the opportunities that they have, and how they're giving back, and how they can give back, and the different things people are looking for, and you can easily make the connections. And it doesn't take that much work. And if you don't have the time, and inshallah if you have the money, then give back the money too, because that's needed too. You need time and you need money. You can't do anything without both. So, inshallah, I hope that you guys can take away something from this and take it forward to do something yourself with your time and money. Next up, the Muslim Student Association needed shirts made, and we had the perfect guy in mind. We also wanted to support the frozen sorbet business, so I had Rashid package the sorbet to sell at my parents' restaurant.
So we decided to take Imam Amin's advice and bring Islamic Relief's disaster response training into the community. Inshallah, it is 8:30, people should be showing up, and we'll get the disaster relief training started. We didn't stop there. We forged connections between the leadership of the masjid and Islamic Relief. We also brought local leaders and community members together to discuss issues and possible solutions. Finally, in order to combat the lack of Islamic knowledge among inner city youth, we teamed up with two community members to start up a poster campaign reaching out to youth who needed a mentor. Throughout this journey, we met so many great people, like our boy Kashif, Jamil, Smiley, Imam John Yahya, Naeem, and Israfil.
Crap, that's me. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you.
And I'm sure we'll meet plenty more, because our journey is just beginning. There's a lot of work to be done, not just by us, but by everyone.